Appeals public meeting for Monday, January 27th, 2025 to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we have some housekeeping, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the agenda. Election of officers, motion for chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jarvis.
I nominate Michael Davis for the position of chairman.
Motion by Mr. Jarvis to nominate Mr. Davis for chairman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kalinsky. I guess I should ask to accept Mr. Davis. All those
I do accept.
Perfect. All those in favor signify by saying aye, or is it roll call, Mr. Attorney? Roll call, or we could just vote?
Vote.
Okay.
Say your name, but vote.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposing, same sign. Congratulations, Mr. Davis. Office of Vice Chair,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jarvis.
I'd like to nominate Tom Kuros as vice president.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. All those in favor signify by, any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposing, same sign. And for the office of secretary,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jarvis.
I'd like to nominate Rick Kalinsky for that position.
Motion by Mr. Jarvis to nominate Mr. Kalinsky. Second?
Second.
Second. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposing, same sign. Mr. Davis, congratulations. It is your program.
Thank you, Mr. Curris, and I'd like to,
Switch seats here.
before we get started, I'd like to thank you for all your hard work and dedication in leading this group. You've done a fantastic job, and these are big shoes I have to fill, and thank you for all the leadership and all the assistance you provided me to this point.
Thank you
Much
very much.
appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for November. Oh, okay, yeah. Correction. We need to make an appointment of the attorney for the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Jarvis?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to appoint Burke Costanza Carberry Law Firm.
Second?
Second.
You seconding
You can second now.
it? Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes of the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for November 25th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second, approved by Michael O'Rourke, second by Tom Curris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Findings of fact. BZA case number 24-11-15, 2230 Grand Avenue. Ali J. Hall and Jordell Prather. Petitioners Jordell Prather. Developmental variance to allow construction of a 6-foot-high fence to extend 17 feet over the building line, corner lot. Was approved for a 4-0 on November 25th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved. Second.
Motion approved by Michael O'Rourke, second by Rick Kalinsky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is BZA case number 25-1-1, 751 Lincoln Highway. It's a proposed automotive service station with a car wash and retail development center. General location, 751 Lincoln Highway, re-subdivision of Lot 1, Von Tobel Edition, Lot 3. Petitioners, Family Express Corporation, represented by Weiser and Wiley. Attorney James L. Weiser. Request a variance of use as required by ordinance number 2004, Title 16, Section 4, Paragraph C2. Purpose to allow the operation of an automotive service station within the US 30 Commercial Corridor Overlay District, which shall also include a retail development center. Mr. Attorney, are the proofs of publication on file there?
Yes, so noticed.
Thank you. So, with that being said, I'd like to have the petitioners come to the podium. Introduce yourself.
Want to come on up, Pete? Okay. Good evening, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. My name is Jim Weiser. I'm the attorney for the project. My law offices are located at 429 West Lincoln Highway in Schererville. And I have with me the representative from Family Express, Pete Andreu, and he'll be prepared to answer any questions that may be more of a technical nature than I'm capable of answering. And we'll do the best that we can. We do have a PowerPoint presentation to make. Just preliminarily, if I could, I know that this can be very confusing, the process, let me put it this way, can be very confusing to the public as to the reason why we're here. And just to remind everybody, we're here seeking a use variance. This is the first step in the process. There are other steps, as you well know, that will require us to come back with specific details and layouts and site plans and engineering and all of that. This is simply to be granted the use, not simply, but to be granted the use variance. And the reason why, and try to enlighten the members of the public who are interested, is that the town of Schererville adopted a number of years ago in their zoning ordinance for both US 30 and US 41, an overlay district. And that overlay district has differences, maybe more detail than the underlying zoning ordinance. And that's what we're seeking the use variance from. We meet the criteria for the zoning, of the basic zoning, the underlying zoning, we meet that criteria. But the overlay district creates other and more requirements that have to be met and have to be considered. So that's the reason that we're here is for that purpose. So I just wanted to make sure that the members of the public were aware of that. And one other item that goes along with that, the zoning ordinances tend to sometimes not follow the current parlance for descriptions of various types of uses. Automobile service station is kind of a use that a lot of us remember, I think, some years ago when you serviced cars. It's different now. It's not that a car doesn't get service, it's just in a different way and more abbreviated way. And so it was determined in talking to the staff that this use qualifies under that definition, even though technically we are not the traditional automotive service station at all. In fact, the primary business for Family Express is their convenience store. And that's their primary reason that they locate in the many areas that they've located around Northwest Indiana and along the central part of Indiana as well. So if we could, Andy, do you run the show? Okay. we'll zip through the PowerPoint here, and you can go right through that, Andy, if you don't mind. Just to let people know, this is the Family Express background, because I think it's important to know that this is a local business. This isn't a business from out of the state or out of the country. It's a local business that was formed just close to 50 years ago and is operated as such. And their focus, as I said to you, is high-quality, state-of-the-art convenience stores. And I've already told you their locations around Central and Northern, and they have over 1,000 employees. And we put this in there because this is really the focus of their business. I know, and I understand why folks might have a concern about the ultimate use and the consideration. The minute you see or you hear about a gas pump, you automatically think it's going to be the emphasis is on that, the emphasis is on fuel, and theirs is not. The emphasis is on their bakery and distribution center, the products that they produce themselves, and you can see it there, proprietary hot food services featured on their menus. And one of the things we want to make clear, you can see where they have their employees. They have dozens and dozens of employees that have been with them for 25 or 30 years, because they offer this as a career opportunity to folks to work in these in their sites and work in their stores, and they're very proud of that. And they, as they say, they interview 50 candidates to hire one team member. They're very careful about that because of how they want to be perceived by the public and presented to the public. And I think, and then, Andy, if you want to go to the next one, the company, Family Express, has been recognized for their operations in a number of different ways. And this just a listing of some of the awards that they've won and obtained over a number of years as one of the best run, operated businesses in the northern part of the state of Indiana, and particularly in northwest Indiana, and specifically in Lake County. Okay, Andy, I will go. Let me just talk about the Von Tobel site for a quick second. It's zoned commercial C3, which, as I mentioned before, we meet that criteria, but we don't meet the criteria of the overlay district. The total site is larger, certainly, than I thought it was. It's 6.16 acres. There's currently, as you can see, 3 attached buildings and a standalone 29,200 square foot standalone storage building. What we propose for the use, and again, I want to make sure everybody understands, obviously there's a lot of issues that come along with this, that when there's a new development anywhere, whether it's replacing an existing one or creating a new one, it comes with a lot of issues regarding engineering, regarding traffic studies, all of those types of issues, which, if we're successful in the use process, will come along later on at the Plan Commission and in other areas. But the proposal is to demolish the building in the northwest, the storage building, and the demolition of that will be to provide additional parking. It would be clear that if this is successfully approved ultimately, additional parking, which is another one of the issues, is going to be required. So anticipating that, knowing that will be a question that will be posed to us during the site plan process, we wanted to make sure that we let everyone know up front that there, in our opinion, will be more than adequate parking provided. and that will be something we'll thrash out at the next level. The Family Express, that's the FE, is going to occupy about 9,500 square feet of what's proposed to be about a 50,000 square foot high-end retail and commercial development. The 9,500 square feet will be principally and primarily the convenience store that they establish on site. The remaining space, and we just want to let you know that once this became knowledge, maybe a bit prematurely, but once this became knowledge, there's already been interest expressed for the retail portion of it from medical providers, high-end commercial businesses, high-end retail businesses. And now how that's going to flush out and how many tenants there'll be and what they'll be ultimately, we'll just see how the development goes along, if it goes along, and make those decisions that are in the best interests of the business and the development, and hopefully in the best interests of the community. Okay, Andy, I think you can. I already said about the required parking. There's going to be upscale architectural design, and you're going to see that in a few slides down the road here. Again, just emphasizing the convenience store that they use, and it gives you an idea of what they do. The enhanced hot food service, indoor and outdoor seating for dining, fresh perishables like Family Express has their own milk, Craven's Market and sandwiches, wraps, just all of that those of you who have had the opportunity to visit or use a Family Express in other areas realize is very, very high quality food and other items that they offer. They do have or will be proposing an automated car wash. It's 1,300 square feet. It's environmentally friendly. They do use a specialized biodegradable cleaning agent in their process. There will be 6 fuel dispensers. That's all that will be there, 6. The convenience store parking would be 35 total spaces, and then the retail will require obviously considerably more. Family Express alone anticipates 15 to 20 new jobs to be created. Andy is next one. Okay, here, this is the existing site. I've got to believe everybody in this room is probably familiar with it, with the Von Tobel site. But that's it right there, kind of an overhead, and you can see US 30 on there. You can see Klein. And that's the site, the 6.16 acres that we're talking about developing. So just so everybody has a perspective on it, obviously the US 30 and Klein Avenue intersection is a highly trafficked and very important intersection in this community. And we want to make sure that the use of the property is in the best interest of the community. Okay, Andy, you can go. This is the conceptual site plan. And conceptual is the right term because we just want the members of the board to understand what it is we're trying to accomplish there, and a little later I'll explain why we think it's an appropriate and proper use for that parcel of property. So I know it's a little difficult for the public to see. It's difficult for me to see, and I'm standing right here. But you could see the extra parking that we're going to have to the northwest with the demolition of that one building, and how the proposal is to have some interconnectivity, some traffic flow that will lead into or will connect to the development that already exists to the south, the retail commercial development that exists to the south. So that just gives you a kind of an idea about what we're talking about. Okay, Andy. Here's looks from different perspectives as to what ultimately the development is projected to present and to present to the public. You can see one from the top one's from the northeast view of the proposed development. The lower one's from the southeast side, so you can get a sense and a feel for how it's going to lay out. Okay, Andy. That's the northeast view is showing you the front part there of Family Express, and you kind of get a look at what the north side of the building is going to look like, and we've got a few more detailed drawings in a second that show that it's intended to be high architectural design and development with very current modern standards. And the entire building will contain this type of architecture. So, for example, if you go around to the west and the southwest view, for example, it's not going to be just the back entrances of buildings with no offense, Mike, NIPSCO meters that are on there, especially where it's facing the Trek development. Want to make it compatible with the Trek development to the west. Okay, Andy. And here's an idea. This gives you an idea of what potentially the different users may, well, not only different users, but the public may see as it relates to what the architecture is going to look like, what the design is going to look like. We think it's going to be very attractive. And then the lower one is how the car wash is designed and what that will look like. It's very attractive building for that purpose. Okay, Andy, were there others? Okay, and did you are the other ones in, Denise? Oh, okay. A few more. Maybe. Okay, we can go past that one because they have sort of really seen that before. That's, and this might give you just a little bit better idea of how it's going to present when it faces to the east, which will certainly be the front portion of the development and the Family Express portion. You get a sense of what it's intended to look like when completed. Okay. Again, another rendering that shows and the type of architecture and the way that it's going to lay out. And I think we have just a couple more, Andy, don't we? I don't. Yeah, it's pretty much all. Is this the west portion? That's the north. North. Okay. This is the building as it would be facing north. So, oh yeah, I see 30. Yeah. So along US 30, this is what it's intended to look like, and what cars and travelers are going to see that are driving, especially east on US 30. Again, kind of an overall view of the concept and how we think the entire building and project will ultimately lay out. Okay, maybe a couple more. This is something I mentioned before. You could see going through there, you can see kind of the connectivity of roadways that are going to be proposed. Again, we don't get into the specifics at this level, but we'll certainly be getting into the specifics of traffic flow as we, if we're fortunate enough, as we move along. And is that it? Okay. So that is essentially what we're here about. I would let you know that this development, just ballpark estimates, but relatively some crude estimates, but relatively reasonable, is this will be a development that will be upwards of $20 million, the ultimate final development. I certainly want the public to have their say, and if there are any specific questions, in Pete's real life, he's an architect, so he can certainly help you out with any, or help any members of the public out with any questions they might have about the nature and type of it, of the design or the architecture. I would just wrap this portion of it up by saying that I don't want to get, and I try not to get overly legalistic in these matters. I do have some comments I would like to make at the end in terms of what it is the law requires us to satisfy, the requirements contained in the Indiana statutes, and I'll comment on that later, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, and members of the commission. Will come back after the public members of the public have an opportunity to have their comments made and respond to those, and then bring that forth. But if there's any questions at this point in time, we're prepared or happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Weiser.
Okay.
I'd like to bring it back to the board. Any questions from board members at this time?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
Weiser, or Pete, forgive me, I don't get your last name, but the storage unit to the left, so behind the car wash, right?
Yes.
That is going to serve what purpose?
Currently, we're looking at possibly renting it or possibly selling that portion. It's about just under 30,000 square foot.
Okay.
It's part of the package, but it's something that we're either renting or selling.
And then if Mr. Hanson, if you would please put the prior slide up, if that's possible.
Hey,
So,
Jim, just have him speak into the mic when he talks.
Oh, here, Pete, come on over here.
so the offices will go behind, so to the west, right? To the west of where the building is. So pictured right here is a whole development, your portion, the offices behind, and then the car wash up front. And we don't know what's gonna, the storage building's gonna be right now.
Yeah,
that
our
accurate?
portion is only about maybe a third of that big box in the front. That's currently the Von Tobel retail.
Okay?
So we're only taking about 9,500 square foot approximately. You know, we'll look at the structure where it makes sense to divide that space. So
Okay.
it's only a small sliver of that box, and then the rest of it could either be one tenant or it could be multi-tenant. We just don't know yet. So that just because we have two different roof planes doesn't mean that it couldn't be one tenant. It should say if a medical facility is interested, they could have the entire facility.
Okay.
Excuse me, Pete. Yeah,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Cor- No,
Chairman.
I'm sorry, Mr. Korish, just real quick. I should have made the statement before. The Family Express portion of the development will be about roughly 18% of the entire square footage. The entire square footage is a little over 50,000 projected, and they're 9,500, just to put it into that perspective.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from board members?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. O'Rourke?
I have a question on the traffic. How many cars a day do you estimate going in and out?
Mr. O'Rourke, that's a matter that will be dealt with at the site plan development process. We aren't prepared to do that right now because that isn't specifically why we're here tonight. It's a matter of the use. I don't know if, Pete, if you know what typically happens in a development of your size, we can try to make a guesstimate, but don't hold us to it because that's something that in the process comes during the site plan development.
111 parking spaces, so that sounds like a lot of cars going in and out on that site.
For the offices and other parts of the building,
Right.
yes.
And that doesn't include the storage building, whatever use it would be too, right? You're just talking about the gas station right now and the convenience store.
Yes, the storage facility, they used it for storing lumber and that sort of thing. I'm not sure if it's intended to be enclosed or built up. It's more for warehouse storage.
Okay, well, I think it was mentioned medical use or whatever.
Not
in
for
the
that
future.
building, for the rest of the facility that's attached, the two buildings that will be remaining.
Right.
That one, and then the big box behind the Family Express. The the light gray building to the south, that's the one they're currently using for lumber as well. No, so we're either gonna sell that or rent it for someone that wants to put outside storage.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions from board members?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mr.
Any, it's a really nice corner, obviously, on Klein and 30, a lot of traffic, a lot of value there. Any ideas? I mean, I love the idea of the commercial, the professional service territory and opportunities there. Any idea or any thoughts on potentially not having a service station there? I'm very familiar with Family Express, do a great job in the community, there's no question about that. But based upon, do we feel that's the best use for that facility? Love the idea of again, commercial, professional, offices and so forth. Is that, any other thoughts on that?
Go ahead.
We would like to have a convenience store here. That's the main purpose we bought this facility. It's a great corner. That's why we're very
Oh, it is a
interested.
good corner, I agree.
And we're very interested in developing it. We're want to use upscale type of materials, durable materials, something that's going to blend in contextually. That north facade may change depending on the use. I mean, currently it's a big box retail, so that could be cladded in a variety of materials. To be determined. This is just a conceptual thinking, it might be one tenant in the middle there besides Family Express, and the back end may be multiple tenants, but again, we've received interest from various sectors that we're looking into, but we do want to go in there. We feel we're not we don't use gas station in our office. We're a convenience store. We're so much more than your traditional gas stations. We have, we've mentioned numerous times our restaurant quality food, the people that we hire, the fresh food that we have there. We have our own bakery. We're currently enlarged, so we're certified to sell to other clients, but we make our own donuts, our own cookies, our own large muffins. So we offer much more than your traditional gas station. So we think that we're a little different than the traditional gas station.
Just to follow up to that, again, Family Express do a great job. No question about it. The size that you're talking about here, the 9,500 square feet of convenience, is that a little bit larger than the typical model that you use?
It is, and the main reason is because it's an existing facility. We have structure in there. I just redesigned our current prototype. We're about 5,800 square foot, and that's on the upper end of our size, but because the size and shape of this facility, we just went to the nearest column line, and that came about around 9,000, 9,500 square foot. So we're looking at even enhancing our food program here to have more restaurant quality, restaurant amenity type of features here.
Thank you.
The site plan on the PowerPoint, if you would please. I try to show that. Yeah, so that shaded blue area is the Family Express, if you will. Yeah, that's the Family Express portion. The rest of the light gray, it's about 32,000 square foot available. If we don't need all that parking, depending on who the client's gonna be or the tenant, we will turn it into green space. But right now, we're not sure, because your parking is dependent on the office, or the type of use you have. Office use, you're gonna have more parking. Retail, you're gonna have less parking. So, we're gonna meet code. Anything that we don't need for parking on the west end, we'll certainly use it more for the environment, whether it's, more green space or bioswales or something like of that nature.
Pete, going back to what Mr. O'Rourke kind of brought up a little bit on the traffic flow there. Von Tobel's, I would anticipate your traffic is going to be a little bit more heavier than what Von Tobel's had there, especially with the convenience center. Have you given any thought to the traffic coming out of the gas pumps there? With the car wash coming there, there's going to be a merging of those cars that are going to, when they come back out of your complex, they're going to come back heading east toward Klein Avenue to either turn right or maybe even try to go across the street. And then you're coming in there and you must feel very confident because you have competition directly across the street to the east of you and also to the northeast as well. And there's traffic coming out of that complex that's directly across the street on the same side as you are. The traffic coming back and forth. What's your comment on that possible traffic challenge that you may face in the operation of your store there? And
Yeah, I think the entrances are located far away from the intersection. I don't know if you recall, but the original entrance to this facility was further north, probably where we have, say, in the center of the canopy. If you go straight across, the entrance was there. So they moved that entrance further south to accommodate a lot of that development to the south of us. I don't foresee any issues there. I'm not sure if we're going to capture people. I think the majority of our customers are going to be the people that are already on the roads, and they're going to come in to get serviced, whether it's fuel or food. I think we have two great access points on 130. You can see the size of that Route 30 access heading east. And I think the drive on Klein Avenue, I think is far south enough that I don't think that's going to be an issue. The convenience store gas station on the east of us, you could see originally, actually you could see their drive, which is further north. I think originally the drives were aligned at that point, and maybe that's a good point. Maybe they had issues back then. That's why they moved that drive further south.
yeah, it's a lot of traffic that comes through there. It's a very heavily traveled intersection there. Thank you for appreciate your answer, your response there. If there's not anything else from board members, we want to open it up to the floor now. Is there anyone out in the audience that would like to step up to the podium? And would you state your name and your address?
Jeff Menard, 1279 Poppy Field. Really? I go to a lot of time meetings, so I have a very interest in Schererville and stuff, and I know the immediate response from a lot of people are traffic, as you expressed, concerns in another gas station in Schererville. But I tell you, asking people to keep an open mind, because this gas station is a different level from most gas stations. And I would argue that would give competition to the other gas stations that have been run down in Schererville, for them to upgrade them to compete with this new station here with Family Express. And a couple other comments. You know, the Pensy bike trail's right behind there. And I see this as opportunity here for bikes, make it bike friendly. Family Express can talk to that so they can get to the convenience store. And I can see a family coming down there with their bikes, having a place to park their bikes, and a place to get a meal and eat outside at the tables or inside the tables, and then go back on their way on the trail. And just another comment, idea I had, that storage building. It would be really neat to have a storage building where people could pay a small fee to store their bikes. A lot of people in Schererville have to store their bikes in the garage. They don't have a lot of room. Then they have to transport them to get to the trail. But what if they could store them right by the trail so they can get there and pick up their bikes and go on their way? So I just want to, you know, I've been to Family Expresses. Some people go there just for their bakery items and be able to get food made to order or other convenience items. You know, it's just a convenient. There's not a good place on the bike trails in Schererville to have it something so convenient for families and stuff to get a break from the trail and get that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And restrooms.
Yeah, my name is Mike Winarski. I live in Schererville, 1767 Gover Drive, and I think that's a ludicrous idea. The traffic on Klein Avenue is horrendous as it is now. And then you could put more vehicles coming into the gas station. I say maybe commercial, but I'm just saying, and then let's all think about it. When Kennedy Avenue comes down, how long is that going to be down for? 2 years? So all that traffic going south and north is going to divert to Klein, 41, Colfax, and Burr. You know, to me, it's just crazy. Go there now. Go there now during work traffic. Those other businesses, it seems like we're just concerned about his business. What about those other 2 strip malls that are there in their business? Those people, they are very concerned about the traffic and everything else over there. So let's have a broad perspective. Let's just don't concentrate on what is sold here. Sure, him and Mr. Weiss are going to sell you the bill of goods, and I understand that, and that's what their job is. But that's my theory about it, and I've talked to people that live in that area that can't even get on Klein Avenue when traffic backs all the way up past Piper School, going northbound, going southbound, going northbound, it's backed up past the cemetery. And then even those businesses, people coming out of Luke over there on the north side, on the south side of 30, people have a hard time getting out there because people will not let them out. That's what we need to look at. And this traffic study down the road. So kick the can down the road. I'm saying, give this gentleman whatever the okay, and then we'll kick the can around, and ain't nothing to be done. Klein Avenue is only 2 lanes. 1 lane going north, 1 lane going south. That's it. That's it. You know, we're going to do all this building. You know, this town here, the problem I see with the town is there's no infrastructure planning at all. Oh, let's put this here. Let's put that here. Oh, let's build it. Let's build 800 homes here. And you still got 2-lane roads. Look at this with more open eyes is what I'm saying. I got nothing against the man here. I don't. I know he's a businessman, he wants to do, but I'm just saying I think that is a bad location for gas stations and everything because I see the traffic over there. Luke's, I go to the gym over there, work out, people can't get out. I talk to other people, the merchants over there that have the businesses, their people can't get out. They wait 15, 20 minutes to get out on Klein Avenue when traffic is that bad. So I'm saying let's have more open eyes, more broadest perspective of this. And if you gentlemen go out there, see how horrendous the traffic is. See how tough it is. So right now, if you go down Klein Avenue from 30, you got one entrance going in right by Von Tobel, and then maybe another 100 foot, you got another one. That's it. And then people just come there, and it gets all backed up, and it gets crazy. I'm sorry, but it does. But that's all I say. If you're going to do that, let's put a little more thinking into it instead of just going ahead and do whatever. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any other, please state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name's Jeff Podgorny and my wife Jennifer. We own 7512 Fawn Valley Drive. We're also business owners here in Schererville, very close to this area. on Klein Avenue. We're just south of there, and we just wanted to express our concerns. Most importantly, I think the traffic is one thing. I've visited Family Express times in the past. I think it's a fine facility. We just don't think it's right for our area. Traffic's difficult. We go in and out of there multiple times a day. Like the gentleman before me said, there's one way in, one way out. It's single lane. It's going to get worse as time goes on with this Kennedy Avenue project. Where are people going to go? It's just going to create a lot of issues that need to be thought of before something's approved. The other thing is market saturation. Do we have ample filling stations within one light of each other? We go to the west, we've got 2 stations. We've got 2 stations right here. We're going to cover 75% of the area with filling stations. Something to consider. Is there better use? Quite possibly. I like the idea of maybe a medical facility or something along that, but as a property owner in the area, I'm not in favor of it. And again, I think making time to do the traffic study is extremely important before taking next steps. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Jennifer Podgorny from 7512 Fawn Valley Drive. We have a business that is in the strip mall south.
Excuse me, ma'am, can you speak into the microphone, please?
I'm sorry. We have a business that is south in the strip mall with the Social 219, the new Jody's Cheesesteak, the liquor store. Traffic, you cannot wait to do the traffic study. Traffic is unbelievable to get in and out. Currently at the Luke's gas station on the southeast side of Klein Avenue, they have a no left turn out of there. People make left turns illegally out of there. You cannot believe the amount of almost accidents and probably accidents that happen there. When we want to cross the street to go home, because we live in Fawn Valley, at 5 o'clock at night, it can take 20 minutes to get out onto Klein Avenue. If you go, okay, well, I'll make a right to go around the roundabout, because that's supposed to stop the amount of traffic that sits on Klein Avenue at rush hour. It is getting so backed up through there that the line is through the roundabout from the stop sign. The traffic to put 113 parking spaces and a gas station there, I'll leave my tenancy where I'm at because my staff's not going to get out safely, we're not going to get out safely, and to sit for 15 to 20 minutes to get out. When they say it's an auto service station and, oh, it's different in terms of this, I insure probably over 30 gas stations, and all gas station owners say it's not the profit on the gas, it's the convenience store. Yes, they are going to get so much traffic from the convenience store, but also by putting those gas stations in, you're going to have to dig up and put pumps underground, tanks underground. You're going to have pollution issues if they start leaking. We have to consider that this is not the best use. If they're going to make all of their money and their main thing is the convenience store, then don't put the gas stations in and don't put 113 parking spaces, because we do not have the infrastructure there. Plus, we have 2 gas stations there already. The one on the northeast corner has a problem of staying in business and is always switching ownership. Now Luke's went across the street to there, and they are higher quality gas stations, not like the Family Express. Granted, Family Express is very nice inside, but the traffic there, you've got Trek bicycle, you've got the walking path, there's going to be pedestrians because people drive in and out of those parking lots, I'm sorry, like idiots. Somebody's going to end up getting run over and hit. It is a nightmare, and you can't just change the ordinance without doing this traffic thing and making them put something in, because the 2 lanes, 1 lane going one way and 1 way going the other, is not going to support this. So I am very against this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and comment on this? Okay, if not, then we'll bring it back to the board. Anything from the board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jarvis?
I think located somewhere else would probably be a better choice. My biggest concern, and all we're looking for is a variance right now of use. But if it gets past us, then it goes to Plan Commission, and then who knows? But we have two members here that are liaisons to the Plan Commission. But I'm real concerned about the drives to get into those pumps. And it's going to be a curve to get in there, not off Klein, right in their parking lot, but I think it's going to be tight right there. Most of the stations are making more room now to access the pumps. I have reservations, so, you know, I could see this being down by the old Ileana or somewhere in there. It'd be perfect, because Family Express is superior. I had a business right by them out in Valparaiso, and that's where they started, and it was superior always. But I don't think it's best use of this property. Just my comment.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Kalinsky?
question for staff. So based upon, you know, any particular recommendation, this still will move forward to the council and the planning, or the plan commission, correct?
Town council.
Town council first. Thank you.
They have to have their approvals.
Make sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Curris?
I don't know if this is for Mr. Weiser or Von Tobel, either way, pass, no pass, Von Tobel is leaving, they're closing? Is that the whole concept here? So they're done. So if we don't, it's just an empty building, or we have to go back to the planning board, go back to the drawing board?
If I might, just briefly, yeah, they're definitely gone. They consolidated all of their business in their Valparaiso location, so they're gone. So maybe to dovetail into that, something will be there. That corner's valuable, as Mr. Kalinsky pointed out. Something will go there. And whatever that something is will generate traffic, no question about it. So the question really becomes, and I know that traffic is an issue, and I know that a traffic study is warranted and necessary, and we will do as the town directs relative to that. But the question is, how do you estimate, how do you guess, how do you know how much more traffic this development's going to have than another development that goes in there? You just, if it's a medical facility, a major medical facility, just as an example, I mean, you want to talk about traffic, depending on the nature of the medical facility, if it's an intermediate care or whatever, ambulatory, whatever it might be. So we need to think about that there's going to be traffic. Whatever ultimately is developed there is going to create traffic. And is it how much? I really don't know. I understand, and I think the Podgornys are correct, especially about the Luke station, that in and out at Luke is, in my humble opinion, way too close to the intersection. Ours would be much farther back. And I'm very familiar, because I live just on the north side of 30, down just a couple of blocks from there, and I go by there every day. There isn't a day I don't go by Klein and US 30. And I think we all share a concern about traffic, but I think the question is, we need to handle that in an orderly fashion, orderly fashion, and realize that hopefully, I mean, something will develop there. We don't want a big box sitting there undeveloped for however long. So hopefully something goes in there. But whatever goes in there is going to generate traffic. And then it becomes a question of how much traffic and how is it generated and what type is it going to be. And I think that that's an issue that can be addressed and resolved appropriately at the proper stage with a site plan and traffic flow, and it may be that, as Mr. Jarvis said, we might have to look at the potential of widening. This is just a concept plan. This isn't a plan that's cast in stone. It's just, it gives you a pretty good idea, and it gives a good idea of what we intend to do, but it doesn't give you necessarily the geometry of it or the layout, the specific layout of it. So, and we're aware of that, but we think, as you have all said, and as every remonstrator has said, Family Express, what a great operation. It's a wonderful business. And to have one in Schererville, where we don't have one, I think is important, ultimately would be important to the community. So I just wanted to make those responses. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Weiser. Just one question for staff. Jim, has there been any recent traffic studies in that area by the town?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Kalinsky.
If I can, I think we find out that Von Tobel's is closing its doors, been a staple in Schererville for a long time, and for, business is business, and the market dictates that, and that's understood. I don't think, though, as a community, we should always be in a major rush to see redevelopment happen. Let's let the market maybe figure out what's possible, right, and see what happens. We have an overlay district there for a reason, right, that gives us an opportunity to not necessarily govern and absolutely control what happens there, but maybe kind of find the type of development that some of our elected officials and folks here on the board allow us to kind of drive and see what happens. I'm not opposed of Family Express. I think it is a good business, a very good quality business. I happen to know a little bit the owner, and they run a great business. There's no question about it. But it's just a question of we hear a lot about traffic. I completely agree with that, and I also think that is that the best potential use for that development in that corner right there in our community? I think that's something that we have to think about. And then also, as I asked, I think our staff, it's just a recommendation we're making. The council has to make a decision. They're elected to make that decision. That being said, a BZA case 25-1-1, 751 Lincoln Highway, based on the original commercial corridor overlay district and really the spirit behind that, and I think the goals, some of the traffic concerns that we heard today, and again, I think we get one time here to really look for redevelopment of that site. I would make an unfavorable recommendation to the council on this proposal.
I'll second.
Mr. Kalinsky, would you like to do a roll call?
Sure. Michael O'Rourke.
That would be yes to your recommendation.
Bill Jarvis.
Yes.
Tom Kuros.
Yes.
Rick Kalinsky, yes. Chairman Michael Davis.
Yes. So there's been a motion, an unfavorable motion. It is passed by unanimous decision. Thank you. Next on the dais, BZA case 25-1-2, 26 Maple Court, Ronald C. M. Maine DeCastro, general location 26 Maple Court, Lot 103, Plum Creek Village, 3rd edition, Block 2. Petitioner, Dimension Fence Incorporated, Ray Hall III and Hannah Jackson requested developmental variance as required by ordinance number 2004, Title 12, Section 14, Paragraph A. Purpose to allow construction of a 6-foot-high privacy fence to extend 16 feet over the 20-foot building line on a corner lot. Mr. Attorney, do we have proof of publications?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Okay, so would you petitioner please step forward and state the purpose?
My name is Hannah Jackson. I work for Dimension Fence.
Hey,
I'm
Hannah,
here-
if you
Yes?
could just pull the mic down.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
I forget how short I am sometimes. I'm here for, on behalf of Dimension Fence. We're petitioning for a fence location for homeowner Ronald DeCastro. He is in the audience if he's needed. This is at 26 Maple Court. We are hoping to put a 6-foot vinyl privacy fence. It would be 16 feet past the 20-foot building line. We will still be 4 feet in from the sidewalk. It does not appear to cause any sightline issues. Other fences in the subdivision are on the same line that we are proposing. In that picture, you can see down the block that cedar fence there. It's on the same line as what we're proposing. That white panel there is where we're proposing to put the fence. Again, it's 4 foot in from the sidewalk, 16 feet past the 20-foot building line.
So Hannah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes. Ms.
So if we look at the if we look, can we go back to the previous picture that was just shown? So obviously, can we go back to the other one, please? I'm sorry. Anyway, it looks like, right there. So it looks like there's a window to the house on the side there.
Yes.
So this would be a, kind of a privacy fence to cover that window as well? And then it would go around to the deck?
Yeah, so it's going to start on the front corners of the home, come out to where that fence is there, which is 16 feet past the building line, and then it's going to go to the back property line, all the way back to the back property, and then over and back up to the front corner on the other side.
Okay,
So it will provide privacy and security for their whole backyard.
great, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it?
That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions from board members? We're going to bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Jarvis?
Sam, had you considered putting the fence back on the back corner of the house instead of all the way up towards the front?
It was a personal preference of the homeowner. I can ask him to come up, and that would be a good question for him if you
Please.
like.
Please.
I'm a little bit taller. All right. Yeah, Ronald DeCastro, 26 Maple Court. The reason for it to come that far is because what Tom Corris said is to protect that window over there. That's a high traffic area. And I just wanted to protect my whole area, also try to get more real estate from the fence. Since I got that new deck, I kind of refurbished it. More people are coming over, and it's kind of give you that privacy so they can actually enjoy the backyard, kids, not worry about cars.
Well, I'm not trying to take anything
sure.
away from your backyard, but if the fence starts by the back corner of the house, then goes back to cover your whole backyard, do you see that as an issue?
I just want to protect that window pretty much, because that's kind of where all my equipment is. I just want to put it out there. That's I'm in IT. I work at Purdue, and all my equipment is downstairs, and that's kind of like most of my valuables out there in that room there. I just want to protect that, and also privacy, because they can look right into my house through there.
Mr. DeCastro?
Sure.
Are you a member of a homeowners association there?
No, there's no homeowners association.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, in your neighborhood, I know your neighbor to the north of you, I think there's a fence that runs down the side To the neighbor to the north of you, your next door neighbor?
Yes, the little picket fence there?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you put this fence up, your fence is going to be really the only one that's going down the side in that neighborhood facing to the south. Am I correct in that?
No,
You'll be
that-
the only,
The brown house over there goes on the side also.
okay.
Has the same. That house, that's across the street from me, on that same corner, I mean, the other side of the corner, he extends out, and if you look there, his extends out all the way to his garage. So his also goes alongside the spruce.
Yeah, but it doesn't go all up and down the side of the house like you're proposing, correct? I don't, unless I'm missing
Yeah, he
something.
starts from the back of the house, but that's correct. He said, there you go.
Okay, okay. Okay, so, and you said the reason why you want to put that fence up on the south side of the house is due to, you said that you feel there's individuals or there's just some scenery there that can be observed too much from that sidewalk to your home?
And to be honest, there's other issues too, since like last year, more and more with traffic from Main and the Boulevard. I'm a retired police officer, and a lot of more people are running to our neighborhood. And actually, I think last year we had somebody run into our neighborhood. I think Schererville's involved with Highland. And literally like where that red car is at, the following house, he was hiding in that backyard. And they didn't really have nothing there. So that's another reason just to protect that area there. And it's wide open. If you look at it's just wide open. It's just, there's nothing there. People can just run through there, hide underneath my deck. And I just want to protect kind of best way I can.
And your neighbors are aware you haven't had any kind of has there been any communications from your neighbors?
Yes.
Are they aware?
I notified all of them. As a matter of fact, I don't want to put them on the spot, but the people that are, the house behind me, that brown house, they're here also.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other concerns or questions from board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Kalinsky?
you know, the petitioner made a comment, which I would love to hear from the person in the brown brick house, because that would be my major concern, is stepping out his house. He essentially, if you move that back, you're cutting off his view, I think, to the street or to the left as they walk out that house. I know that might give me some concerns if I live there. So if that person is here or has a letter or something, I think that would be very
The
supportive.
brown house there, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're here.
I think he's going to speak.
My name is Lubitsa Rokas. I live at 1016 Spruce Drive, and it is a red house on the west side of Charlie, and his house butts against mine. And I do have a cyclone fence there as well, so his fence would butt against mine. So we did have a lot of talks about the fence, and I agree with it, because since I put my fence, there's less traffic in my backyard, and I wish that for him too. He also has a wonderful dog that I love for him to have freedom to run around without going out on the street. There's just too many crazy people in our neighborhood anymore. So, plus he's got the nice deck right now, so that would be more privacy for him and his family as well.
Mike, you should.
That's all I have.
I am.
Any questions?
Thank you.
I'm going to open it up to the floor now. Come on up, sir. If you have something to say, we're opening it up to the floor if you want to come up.
I'm the petitioner.
Oh, okay.
sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, any other comments from any other individuals in attendance?
What's Kevin's talking?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kevin Connolly, 1025 Spruce Drive. I live across the street from Mr. DeCastro, so I would have to view the fence. I've talked to him at length about his concern. I think there's some vulnerability there. That's his office. I see what he's trying to do to kind of protect the visibility. into it, and it's somewhat identical to his neighbor across the street. I don't have an issue with anything he wants to do here.
Thank you. Any other comments from the floor?
Move it forward.
If not, we're going to bring it back to the board for any additional questions. Any additional questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Kouros?
I just have one more, and then I'm prepared to make a motion. It sounds as if, and Councilman Connolly has talked about it too, I'm sorry, not Councilman Connolly, but the young lady that came and spoke, the neighbor, that there are people that run, and, you know, it sounds like there is a security issue. So on BZA case, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. On BZA case 25-1-2, 26 Maple Court, Ronald and Manny DeCastro, general location 26 Maple Court, lot 103, Plum Creek Village, 3rd edition, block 2. Petitioner dimension fence, Ray Hall and Hannah Jackson, requesting a developmental variance as required by ordinance number 2004, Title 17, Section 14, Paragraph A, to allow the construction of a 6-foot-high privacy fence to extend 16 feet over the 20-foot building line on a corner lot. I move to approve, citing the security concerns and citing that it has been done in the area as well.
We have a motion for approval from
I'll second it.
Mr. Kalinsky.
Yes. Michael O'Rourke,
Yes.
Bill Jarvis,
Yes.
Tom Kouros,
Yes?
Rick Kalinsky, yes. Chairman Michael Davis.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, BZA case number 25-1-3, Brian Lance, commonly known as Jarrett's Southern View, proposed Lot 8 and Lot 23 of the proposed development, general location, north of 85th Avenue, east of Amber Fields subdivision, and west of Manchester Lane and Pine Hill subdivision, Unit 2. Petitioner Brian Lance, represented by DVG Team Inc., engineer Doug Reddick, requests the developmental variance as required by ordinance number 2004, Title 9, Section 4, Paragraph D, 2. Purpose to allow a reduction of the side yard setback from 30 feet to 20 feet on the corner lots, Lot 8 and Lot 23. Mr. Attorney, do we have proofs of publication?
First of all, I'd like to note that DVG Team is an active client on a non-related matter for Costanza Carberry for the board's disclosure. For notice, yes, we have notice.
Thank you. Okay. Would you like to state the purpose?
Sure. Again, Doug Reddick with DVG, representing Brian Lance, who is the owner of this property. And we are requesting 2 variances tonight. We're going to deal with them separately. This is the first of the 2, where Mr. Lance has a desire to reduce the corner side yard setback on the 2 corner lots. Do you have a sketch? And are you bringing it up? And do you folks need paper copies or? Okay.
If you have them.
Do you want one? I just can't see the screen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
I got a couple. Andy, can I bother you to rotate that 90 degrees to the right so north is up? There we go. It'll make a little bit more sense for everybody. So this is a potential concept plan for a proposed subdivision that lies in between Amber Fields and Pine Hill. I think we all know that Manchester Lane dead ends, heading east out of Amber Fields and heading west out of Pine Hill. So this will be a connection of Manchester Lane. And then obviously there's a cul-de-sac going to the south. So this is property that he's owned for some time. So the first variance we are talking about are for the two corner lots up at the north end, lots 8 and 23. Typically, the ordinance calls for 30-foot setbacks throughout the subdivision, which we've provided. But in this case, those two corner lots, we want to reduce the side yard setback on just one side. So they're going to still have a 30-foot setback where they face the street, but we're asking for permission to reduce the corner side yard setback from 30 feet to 20 feet. It just gives a little bit more room to build a bigger house. Again, we don't have these lots spoken for yet. We haven't got through engineering yet, but Mr. Lance is...
Hey, Doug.
Yes.
Just get a little closer to the mic, please.
Sorry. Has a desire to try to make the lots a little bit more buildable. Again, so this only applies to the two corner lots. You're asking for a reduction of the side yard setback on the corner lots from 30 to 20, but the front yard setback where the house faces will still be 30 feet. So that is the first request that we're here for tonight.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are
Mr.
we going to hear both these petitions together?
We can. We can.
Do you want to?
Yes, you can go ahead. Let me read it, and then
Yes,
we can talk
please,
about it,
yeah.
Doug. BZA case number 25-1-4, Brian Lance, commonly known as Jarrett's Southern View, proposed lots 14 through lot 17 of the proposed development. General location north of 85th Avenue, east of Amberfield subdivision, and west of Manchester Lane in Pine Hill subdivision, Unit 2. Petitioner Brian Lance, represented by DVG Team Inc., engineer Doug Reddick, requested developmental variance as required by ordinance number 2004, Title 9, Section 4, Paragraph C. Purpose to allow a reduction of the required 30 feet front yard setback to 25 feet on the proposed lots 14 through 17. Go ahead, Mr. Reddick.
Thank you for that. Again, this is the second variance we're going to be talking about tonight, and it only affects the lots in the cul-de-sac at the south end of the property, lots 14, 15, 16, and 17. Mr. Lance would also like to request a reduction of the front yard setback from 30 feet to 25 feet. And that's primarily so we have, again, a little bit more room. Those cul-de-sac lots get a little tight. We're kind of squeezed down there. And again, he wants to be able to provide, the largest homes possible, the largest buildable area possible for those for those cul-de-sac lots. So we think it's a reasonable request to only reduce the building line from 30 to 25, only a 5-foot reduction. Again, it just allows a little bit more buildable area for those lots. So it's that simple. We're seeking permission for those two developmental variances for this proposed subdivision. If they are not granted, we will modify the sketch accordingly. But at this time, we're at the early stage here where we kind of want to get it out there where this is what he proposes to build. As far as the subdivision and the number of lots in the subdivision, that really won't change. But he just likes the idea of having a little bit more room for larger houses, ranch houses versus necessarily a 2-story house. So those are our requests this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Reddick. Any questions from board members at this time?
Mr. Chairman? Oh, go ahead.
Mr. O'Rourke.
Thank you. Mr. Reddick, I believe that's Buckingham, not Manchester, that runs through there, correct?
I'm sorry. I think
Manchester runs north and south.
I see it now. I can read it.
So my question has to do with lot 23 and 8. Your request says side yard setback, but from this picture, I don't know which way the front of the house is facing.
It's
since they're both
kind of
corners,
shown if you look close, but.
or way the lot would be set up.
So lot 8 will face north, well, it'll face Buckingham. So the reduction that we're asking for will be on the north-south street, the cul-de-sac. Lot 23 is just the opposite. You can kind of tell by the shape of the lot. That house will face east. Again, we don't have a name for the cul-de-sac yet. And the reduction will be on the north side of that lot. Again, it's because of the lot width for those corner lots.
Okay.
And they do face in different directions. That's a good point.
Mr. Jarvis?
Doug, just question, the cul-de-sac lots, we'll call them 14 through 17. Your drawing, does that show reference to the position of a future home with the setbacks if they were granted?
Yes, so we draw these boxes generically in size. I think they're about 50 feet deep and 60 feet wide. So we just show them schematically. These are not the homes that are going to get built.
But would it be close to the setback that you're requesting?
I believe on that drawing, it's a 30-foot setback, and we are asking for a reduction to 25.
I just want to get a feel for what's going on here.
Understood. And you can see on 14 and 15, we're getting a little close in the backyard, and that'll give us a little bit more room for people to enjoy the backyard.
Any other questions from board members?
Mr. Chairman, what is the width of the proposed lots, and how does it compare to the subdivision to the east and west?
This property is zoned R1, consistent with the subdivisions to the east and west. The minimum lot width is 80 feet. The minimum lot size is 12,000 square feet. So basically, you're looking at about an 80 by 150 foot deep lot on average. But the criteria we have to meet are 80 foot wide. Corner lots have to be wider, and they are. And then we have to meet a certain lot area.
Okay.
And all those, so we're not asking for any reductions on that. We meet the zoning requirements.
There has not, I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, there's not been a covenant set for this particular subdivision. Is there a plan for covenants or anything like that?
There will be when we get to that point. This is the first step. We kind of introduced this at the Plan Commission study session a couple months ago. We wanted to get through this variance process to see if we were successful, and then we'll fine tune our drawing and start engineering and be back in front of the Plan Commission for engineering approval in the coming months.
And to get an understanding, asking for a variance here, can you give us an understanding of the need, the hardship? Do we know what kind of homes are going to be built there? Is there a general square footage? Is there kind of a model that you can kind of share essentially?
Mr. Lance, a lot of you know him, he builds custom homes. And the desire is to build nice homes. And some people, we're seeing it more and more even in our business, ranch style homes, which take up a bigger footprint. 2 stories are easy to fit on these lots, but if somebody wants a custom home of a bigger footprint, oftentimes you need a little bit more room. And that's really what it's just making the lots more buildable for larger homes, if desired. We might not need the variances depending on what somebody picks, but that's why. We're just trying to get ahead of it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Mr. Jarvis?
I know this is a little bit premature. Hi, Mr. Lance. What kind of average price would these homes sell for? Just to give us an idea. I mean, that's kind of way premature. I get it.
That's a lot premature. First of all, let me say this. I developed Amber Fields, which is just to the west of here. I also developed Fawn Valley. I also developed Bramblewood, a lot of other subdivisions, most of them all upscale. The goal here with this piece is, and the reason why we're asking for the variance on the 2 corner lots, and just for comparison, I believe there's 4 or 5 lots in Amber Fields that I requested the same issue and was approved for. So I'm not looking to do anything different than what I already did in Amber Fields. One purpose I'm asking for here is because these are going to be nicer homes, more upscale than what you're seeing compared to the west, which is Amber Fields, and most likely compared to the east of Pine Hill. The property to the south of here, this property surrounds my son's property. So the goal here is to, if I'm going to build around them, I'm going to make sure stuff is really nice. Not that I haven't built really nice stuff everywhere else, but I'm going to make sure that we have some nice backyards, nice houses to look at. The purpose of the variance for the cul-de-sac lots is they're a problem. especially when people are looking to do bigger houses now, I'm constantly fighting the arch of the cul-de-sac to fit some of these houses on these lots. And the reason for that is because the corners, if you can move that picture up just a little bit. I'm sorry, the other way. I want to bring the cul-de-sac up. Okay. So when you look at the back corner of, say, lot 15, the back two corners of the house, you can see how close we start getting to the rear yards, lot lines, and then I run into the minimum of a 30-foot setback in the backyard. That's one of the biggest problems with cul-de-sac lots. I'm still sitting on a lot in Amber Fields in a cul-de-sac that I'm having a difficult time trying to get a house to fit on it because of the big arch that encroaches upon the front of the lot itself. So it makes it really difficult. The second thing that I like about the 25-foot setbacks for the cul-de-sac lots is because that's another problem I'm having with that cul-de-sac lot in Amber Fields is people say, well, I like living in the cul-de-sac, but that house next to me sits so far forward compared to the existing houses on a street where the lots are all in line with each other. So by taking and allowing those cul-de-sac lots to move up 5 feet, they aren't sitting back quite as far and not almost staring at sometimes people's backyards of their neighbor. So it just works out better. The main goal, like I said, is I plan on building some nice stuff in here. So I want to turn out a really nice project, and I want to make sure that what goes in here is going to be nice stuff that's surrounding the property. And I just need a little bit of help on these cul-de-sac lots and the corner lots to be able to achieve what my goal is here.
Well, I don't think that actually answered my question, but regardless.
Price-wise, I can't answer that yet. I can tell you this. There are a couple people that have already talked to me and asked me about what the subdivision is going to look like. I do not have a set of covenants written yet, but I can tell you they'll be bigger than anything adjoining them.
Can I get an assurance from you that they'll be equal to or more than the surrounding subdivisions?
Well, I can't speak for Pine Hill because there are some pretty good sized houses in there that are not directly abutting my property. But I can tell you this, the first two people that I've already priced out houses for, obviously I can't sell anything, but the first two people I priced out houses for, the first person hit $790 and the second person hit $850.
All right, well, that gives me a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns from board members at this time? If not, we'll open it up to the floor. Is there any, would you please step to the podium and state your name and address?
Jim Thrall, 3124 Manchester Lane. My property butts up to lot 14 and 15. Problems I have with this, when Brian built his son's house, which is way further across, it's caused flooding in the corner of my lot that's towards 15. I've tried to move in tons of pea gravel and whatnot to try to eliminate the flooding, but anytime I get any appreciable rain at all, the whole back corner of my lot's flooded. My first concern is that this additional is going to leave more water running off onto my property, which is going to cost expenditure of heavy pumping. Secondly, we have outlot A over here, which is marshland in it. And there are trees and whatnot. And my property has some decent sized trees that I'm the one with the pool. So it gives me some privacy for someone not looking in from their second story window at how we're bathing or who we have over or whatnot. So to me, I'm concerned with the water because it's all, the other home and how they've moved the land has already caused flooding issues on my property every time it rains at least an inch. I think it's gonna, wreak havoc on some wildlife and other stuff that we see there. So I am not a fan, and this needs to address the runoff onto my property.
Thank you.
All right.
Would you state your name and your address? Come on up, sir.
Good evening, and congratulations on your new position on the board.
Thank you.
I am Terry Blay, 3118 Manchester Lane, sorry. We are directly involved with this. My house would be between lot, basically 14 is cutting into it. But I can tell you that we've been there for 25 years, and the water will be, and it is an issue. When Mr. Lance drained his pond and filled it in behind us with the overflow, sorry.
Excuse me, sir, can you speak into the mic, please?
Yes, thank you, I'm sorry. When we had, his pond was dredged, they dumped the landfill there. That affected the water in the wetlands. There is, we've been out there for 25 years. Outlot A is really a nature preserve. There's deer, there's geese. We've seen all kinds of things in the 25 years we've been in this residence. I'm just saying, maybe he can build, you know, certainly he's entitled to build. He's a great builder. I appreciate the fact that he wants to build there. But if you look from 14, why don't you take that curve and curve it towards his son's property? Instead of coming it back, because it's going to be 14 will be very close to our backyard now. And also, they'll be cutting into Outlot A, which is definitely a water concern. And then I've also wondered if they have done an engineering survey to where's this water going to go? You're adding a number of homes. So, thank you. I'm sorry.
No apologies necessary. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Anyone else from the audience? Anyone else from the audience?
My name's Linda Vanderwood. I live at 3021 Ashton Hill, which is directly behind, let me see, lot 26. And I'd have you notice that lot 23 is, it's on a wetlands. And there were 2 other designated wetlands there. And I think the retention pond is supposed to handle all of the water that accumulates there. I don't think that would be adequate, and I don't know if he's done really good engineering about that. I'm not concerned that my house will flood particularly, but that's a very, very, very wet area. And I had hoped he would preserve the wetlands. But he didn't. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the audience at this time?
I have Bill Hedrick, 3112 Manchester Lane. Our property is kind of...
Excuse me, sir.
Sorry. So I'm just concerned about Lot A. When Lot A on the map here, are those part of the lots, does it come all the way to our property end, or, because that is the wetland area there. So does he own that property, or is that still part of the other gentleman that lives up on the other street there?
I can answer that question right now.
Yeah, okay. So that's our main concern, is because it's a drainage area there, it's a wetland, it fills up with water when it rains, when there's no houses there. I'm just concerned for the water mitigation from the houses that are going to come off the roofs and going to go down, what the topography is there. That's a lower end. All of our lots come down to that. So with the increased amount of building there, going to increase the amount of water that's going to be in that retention pond. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the audience? If not, we're going to bring it back to the board. Any communication from the board?
I have a question.
Mr. O'Rourke?
This question is for the town people, Jim. All we're being asked in this meeting is the setback, right?
That is correct. The engineering will come later. The stormwater management will come later. All that comes later.
Right. I appreciate that, having gone through the same project and
Correct.
issues with ours. So that, I just want everybody to know, all we're being asked here is the setback. We don't have any control over where the water goes or any engineering for that.
Thank you, Mr. O'Rourke. Any other comments from board members?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Kalinsky.
You know, I think that one of the petitioners came up who, not the petitioners, but during public comment and had some concerns about Lot 14, which is being discussed today, and how that road kind of seems to kind of tee up towards those homes. But there seems like there's a lot more area on the other side of that, on 17, 16, 19, that would much more minimally impact those folks that have been there for years. I'm familiar with what Mr. Lance has done too, and I think he's done good developments. I live in Pine Hill as well. I'm not opposed to the project. I think I just want to see it done right. I would love to see some opportunity where we can, not have to have a variance there when we're looking to abut up next to those homes on Manchester there. I understand that we want a good development and an opportunity there, and good, nice, high-end or custom-built homes. But I think that is challenging when it seems like there's other opportunities on the other side where you can fit that development in and not have to need a variance there. Even if we're talking 10 feet or whatever the case may be, I think it just makes a lot of sense to not ask for that based upon the homes that are currently there.
I don't believe that property's in Schererville, Mr. Kalinsky.
Which one, I'm sorry?
The property right next to where you're saying move the cul-de-sac over.
On 14?
No, you were saying have the road go by 18, 17, 16? Move it.
No. I'm talking, you see how the road kind of slants out and comes back in?
Yes.
So that road is not in Schererville?
No, I thought you meant the whole property move. You're saying add another 10 feet.
No. You see how Lot 19 has a very large backyard? A lot of room there, right? I mean, isn't there an opportunity maybe to equal out that where you don't have the justification of 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 that are pushed back, I would say, what is that, east? So, we're asking for a variance there, but there seems like there might be, 10 feet that we can grab on that side that which would not constitute a variance, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the cul-de-sac it's not going to change those setbacks.
Well, I could speak a little bit to both.
But hold on a second, let me make a comment there. If the cul-de-sac got moved a little bit, as we have those other areas there, right? You're saying that can't be pushed back the other way a little bit?
Well, 17 is one of the properties for the variance, so if you move the cul-de-sac slightly over.
But is it a side yard on 17, or is it?
No, it's front.
It's the front.
Oh, it's a front, okay. I gotcha. But it looks like there's a pretty large rear yard there if you look at 14 compared to 17. Maybe it's not to scale,
Yeah, those are just blocks. That's not really where the house is going to go, but that's where the front of the building will be. You can almost see a slightly white traced line where the building line is in that cul-de-sac right in front of all those buildings. That's what he's trying to meet, and I don't know, Doug, if that's the proposed or that's what we'd have to do.
This is a 30-foot. We're trying to move those houses closer to the cul-de-sac to give more room in the backyard, specifically on the Pine Hill side. Oh, go ahead.
What we're trying to accomplish is to get the houses a little bit closer to the street. Anybody that butts up to lot 14 or 15 or 13 for that matter, I'm trying to get further away from them. So I'm trying to create more room between me and them. And that's what I'm petitioning for. Secondly, I noticed somebody made the comment about, the cul-de-sac being off center or whatever the case may be. I put that curve in the road just for aesthetics. It looks so much nicer than just one straight cul-de-sac just going down. It has no character at all. So I put that curve in the road just to make it look nicer and create a little bit more lots, this depth in lots, not only on the west side, But look at the depth of the lots that are going to be on the east side. So the goal here is to get further away from those people. If someone's complaining I'm too close, I'm trying to accomplish getting further away from them.
And I want to add something regarding Outlot A. It is, well, Mr. Lance did purchase the outlot from the gentleman that owned it, and the whole east side, you can see the north-south, there's a faint white line right behind lots 9, 10, 11, and 12. That is an easement line. So yes, the whole east side of Outlot A is an existing drainage easement. We're not touching that. It's an existing detention facility for Pine Hill. So all that vegetation, all that water will keep doing what it's doing now. So we are limited to what we can build there. But that white line is an easement line that we are respecting. So the people will own those large backyards, but it's going to have to be left in its current state for drainage purposes. But they'll have the benefit of a large yard. The owners of lots 9, 10, 11, 12, and part of 13 will own what's shaded in green there. But a lot of it is an existing easement, as identified by the white dashed line that runs north-south. So we're not going to do anything within any of those backyards. Everything east of that line will remain just the way it is today. It's an existing easement for drainage purposes that we are not going to alter.
Thanks for those comments. Doug. Any other concerns from board members? Do we have a recommendation? Board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Jarvis?
BZA case 25-1-3, Brian Lance, commonly known as Jarrett's Southern View, proposed lot 8 and lot 23 of the proposed development, general location north of 85th Avenue, east of Amber Fields subdivision, and west of Manchester Lane in Pine Hills subdivision, Unit 2. Petitioner Brian Lance, represented by DVG Incorporated, engineer Doug Reddick, requests development variance as required by ordinance number 2004, Title 4, Section 4, Paragraph D2, to allow a reduction of the side yard setback from 30 to 20 feet on the corner lots of Lot A and Lot 23, and make a motion to approve pursuant to all state, local, federal regulations.
We have a motion from Mr. Jarvis. Mr. Kalinsky, roll.
You need a second.
Is there a second? My fault.
Could we consider combining them and I will second that.
Combining both?
Combining both,
You can't.
C and D.
You can't.
Can't do it? All right, I'll second.
Have a motion from Mr. Kalinsky and seconded by Mr. O'Rourke. Mr. Kalinsky, roll call.
Michael O'Rourke.
Yes.
Bill Jarvis.
Yes.
Tom Kuros. Rick Kalinsky, yes. Chairman Michael Davis.
Yes. Mr. Jarvis?
Do you want to make the motion on the second one?
Sure. In the case BZA case 25-1-4, Brian Lance, commonly known as Jarrett's Southern View, proposed lots 14 through 17 of the proposed development, general location north of 85th Avenue, east of Amber Field subdivision, and west of Manchester Lane in Pine Hill subdivision, Unit 2. Petitioner Brian Lance, presented by DVG team, engineer Doug Reddick, requests developmental variance as required by ordinance number 2004, Title 4, Section 4, Paragraph C. Purpose to allow a reduction of the required 30-foot front yard setback to 25 foot on the proposed lots 14 through 17. Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second from Mr. Jarvis. Mr. Kalinsky, roll call.
Michael O'Rourke.
Yes.
Bill Jarvis.
Yes.
Tom Kuros. Rick Kalinsky, yes. Chairman Michael Davis.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If there's nothing else, we are in adjournment. Thank you for your attention.